Recent developments in Italy should serve as a warning to those who persistently assume that the country is heading towards crisis or collapse and that it's going to bring down the European Union and the Eurozone with it. A few days ago, it seemed that a crisis of that kind was about to happen. The Italian president rejected the proposal of Paolo Savona as finance minister of Italy, suggested by the newly formed coalition of the Five Star Movement and of the Northern League, which was seeking to form a government. The Five Star Movement and the Northern League, the coalition in other words, accordingly refused to form a government without Savona. The president then proposed a technocratic government headed by an IMF economist. The coalition parties rejected that. There was talk of a crisis. Spreads rose across the financial markets. There was earthquakes across the Eurozone. There was talk that the Eurozone might not survive a year. Within a day, however, the two parties were talking again of forming a new government. Negotiations had been made with the president, and it looks as if a new government with a different finance minister, but with similar views to Mr. Savona, will soon take office in Italy. Is the crisis therefore over? In my opinion, the answer probably is yes. I do not think that there is the political will in Italy to challenge the European Union authorities or the Eurozone authorities to the extent that some people believe. I think what we are most likely to see is an ugly compromise of the kind that is very typical in Italy. The new Italian government will try, I think, to loosen fiscal controls in Italy. I think there will be some resistance to that from the Eurozone authorities, but I think to a certain extent they will go along with it. As for Italian debt, I think the European Central Bank will continue to pay it because it has no realistic choice but to do so if it is to avoid a collapse in the Eurozone. So is the crisis then completely over? Will we see a situation where Italy reverts to being what it has been for some time now, a sullen partner in the Eurozone, but nonetheless still a junior partner to the two countries that continue to drive the Eurozone and the European Union, which are Germany and France? I think basically yes. There is a chance that the new coalition government will, however, try to assert itself from time to time in certain ways to show its independence of the Eurozone authorities and of the European authorities. One possible way they might do that at the end of June is that they may start to lay markers down against the renewal of sanctions against Russia, which are due to be renewed at a meeting of the European Council at the end of June. One should not assume that they will actually veto the renewal of those sanctions, but they will probably do what previous Italian governments have done, which is say that they will not agree to the sanctions being renewed automatically, but they want a discussion of that to happen whenever the question of renewing the sanctions arises. However, I do not see them leading an insurrection within the Eurozone. I have never really believed that was going to happen, and I'm afraid those who expected that are going to be disappointed.